Amen. Got it. Awesome, awesome, awesome. All right, so we're gonna get started here. Thank you all for tuning in. First order of business. I am Andre Powell, also known as That Guy Amped. You can find me on all social media platforms. The goal for tonight is the Dream Again Project Kickoff. I hope you're all excited. So before we really dive in, we're going to give everybody an opportunity to come in, start doing us a favor and share it wherever you are, whether you're on YouTube, make sure that you're sharing it. If you're on Facebook, make sure you're sharing it there so everybody can come on in and join in this little conversation that we're going to have. This is, again, the Dream Again Project Kickoff. We are so excited, as you might be able to tell. I'm excited. I'm just ready for you all to hear what these wonderful ladies at the bottom of our screen are doing and be part of changing lives, changing the world one life at a time. And we're going to need your help. So make sure that you stay tuned. Make sure that you get excited. You all are in for a treat. Yes, awesome, a treat. So make sure that while you're sharing it, that you have an opportunity to tell others that you may know that are looking for it, to helping others. Make sure that they get it, make sure they get wind of it so that they can help and do and assist. All right, so I'm doing my part. I'm sharing as well. And we're going to give you all a few minutes to do that, and then we're going to jump right into our program on tonight. All right, everyone. I hope that you are doing well. Welcome to the the Dream Again Project. I'm just excited. I'm excited to have these ladies here. I'm excited to have the Amped Up Studio Squad here as well. As many of you know, I am Andre Powell, the creative director of Amped Up Studios. And first off, we want to thank you all for joining us tonight for the Dream Again Kickoff. It's our fundraiser, and we're really excited about this. If you couldn't tell, I don't have any nerves. I'm just really excited. I'm really pumped to share with you all what we're trying to do and what we're trying to accomplish with the Journey to Destiny Ministries team that's you see below. So just a quick little rundown of what we're going to do tonight. I want you all to know that we're not trying to keep you here forever. We want you to be here quickly and within an hour, have you ready to go back to your normal lives. But we hope that we leave you with something that you'll be willing and that drive, that energy to want to change other people's lives. So a quick overview for tonight is we're going to go and do this introduction of who Amped Up Studios is, what we're doing, what we're about, and then we're going to talk to Journey to Destiny Ministries, the founder in the person of Felicia Foster, and hear why Journey to Destiny Ministries. After that, we're going to give you all a world premiere. This is going to be the first time that everybody in the world will be able to see this video that we've created at this point for Journey to Destiny. And as we continue on, we're going to hit with the Dominican Republic team in the persons of Vivian Pruitt and April Agnew, so that you all can hear some of their experiences as they are the people on the ground in the Dominican Republic now and responsible for making sure that things are operating down there. And then finally, to kind of wind it up and wrap it up, we're going to give you all an opportunity to ask a question or two. And feel free throughout this broadcast, if you have a burning question so that you don't forget it, make sure that you write it down in the chat. The Amped Up Studios team is watching the chats on both Facebook and YouTube to make sure that we don't miss anything and we can get you the answers that are needed for you to support, for you to jump in, for you to get excited, to really get this whole thing moving. So what about Amped Up Studios? So many of you know me from just kind of my maturation and growing. And as I can see some of you that I have worked with in the past that have been kind of here, right? Kind of watching me grow, watching me evolve. And as this path has kind of grown, I've been excited about a number of things that the vision has become more clear but it hasn't always looked the same. And as we continue on, as we continue to go forward, I want you all to understand where this comes from. I found what I loved, and through a number of years with many of you involved, the process has changed a little bit. It's looked a little different at times, and the vision has become more and more clear, and more of you have followed, and more of you given me opportunities to share the dream that I had, opportunities to kind of work in the weeds with some design, with some speaking opportunities, video production. And as many of you followed me throughout these changes, as the brand changed from its original birth as Dre's Legacy to Trinity Wear, you all may remember the apparel line. And then we moved to _amped, because amped was somebody else had that one. So _amped to that guy amped. And then I added some friends who I grew up with, namely my brother and then my god brother. And we formed the Amped Up Squad with some of our other friends as well. Now we are entering a new phase with the Amped Up Studios. Currently a staff of 3 with years of experience from the very beginning. As many of you may remember, our initial individual YouTube channels that turned into the Amped Up Squad, where 5 guys were creating just content and really getting to hone in on what they were doing. We got to work with some mom and pop places to produce reviews for their company and ads for their company. We've even been able to share some Bible knowledge. And lastly, we created the Amped Up Squad podcast, which is currently on hiatus. We're going to get back to that eventually, and really get you all excited about that again. So Amped Up Studios, this team is determined to be a production studio like no other. Our goal is to build our portfolio with organizations that care about people at home and around the world. Our desire is to travel the world and tell the stories that aren't being told, to help brands set up the narrative for others to connect with, and to change lives throughout the process. So we currently are staffed by a creative director, myself, a videographer in the person of J3, or John Mabry, and the photographer by the person of Eric McCowan. Now, all of us have producer behind the scenes of those titles, but we're working with more than 15 years of experience between us and looking forward to sharing our skills with others. So as I mentioned on tonight's schedule, our goal is to keep you no longer than an hour, and we broke it out so that it made sense. You're in that part where we introduce who Amped Up Studios is. Next, we're going to talk to Felicia Foster, the founder of Journey to Destiny Ministries. We're going to show you that first video that's created, that world premiere video, and then we'll dive in with the Dominican Republic team, ask a few questions, allow them to share some of their experiences, and then finally, we're going to get you out of here. All right, so before we hop in with Felicia Foster, the founder of Journey to Destiny Ministries, let me tell you a little bit about Journey to Destiny Ministries. Since its beginning of operation in 2015, Journey to Destiny Ministries has expanded from the United States to the Dominican Republic and has helped hundreds of children and families through food distribution, medical clinics, educational assistance, and providing inspirational tools to help families work towards self-sufficiency. In 2018, the Journey Center was opened in the Dominican Republic, and the center is equipped to house up to 8 girls. At this time, the girls are placed in a center out of immediate danger and are allowed to stay there for up to 6 months or until the government finds them permanent placement. At this time, I would ask that you all welcome with me Miss Felicia Foster, the founder of Journey to Destiny Ministries.
Hi.
Hey, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
All right. So I know it's really late where you are, because I know it's evening time where we are, but it's really late where you are. Can you tell the people what you're currently doing?
So, first of all, thank you so much for taking this initiative, taking this assignment, and helping to further our mission to eradicate abuse of young girls and women literally all over the world. So as you said earlier, I started in 2015. God gave me the vision to do long-term missions. I had been doing missions for about 20 years, doing short-term, 2 weeks here, a month there. And in 2015, God literally arrested me and told me to do this full-time. So I quit my job, sold everything that I had, and I moved to the Dominican Republic. And at the time, I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know exactly what the mission was. I just knew I had accepted the call of God to go and serve. And so when I got to the Dominican Republic, the need was so great. In the city that we're in, San Pedro de Macorís is a small city outside of the capital, and they had a lot of resources and centers for orphan boys, but they didn't have any centers. When we first moved there were no centers for girls. And so it was a lot of issues with girls being abused, a lot of times by their mothers, a lot of times sold from family members. And so when I got there and I recognized the need was so great, we started the center in Dominican, taking in girls 15 years old, 15 to 18. And as we started the program, the girls were getting younger and younger. So we had to drop the age down to 7. So our age limit now is 7 to 15. And these girls have been rescued from various situations of abuse, not just trafficking, forced child prostitution, so many just abuse of parents, abuse of neighborhood friends, just a lot of abuse. And so we started the center in San Pedro, and with the help of our church, we were able to purchase that building there. And now we house those girls in Dominican. We've had girls to graduate through our program. Most of the girls are temporary, but we do have some permanent girls that the government was not able to find them safe placement. And then last year in 2021, we expanded Journey to Destiny to Nairobi, Kenya, East Africa. And that's where I am now at 2:00 in the morning. But it's all right because this is a great cause. So I'm really excited about it. But I came here in November 2021. We started the Journey Center here in Kenya. And these girls in this area, in the villages, it is still legal to have forced child marriages. So a lot of the girls have been forced into marriage as young as 14, 15 years old, to men as old as 50 or 60 years old. And then once they have children, they cannot continue regular education. So they have to leave school, raise their children, and oftentimes they become widows, or their husbands leave them, and then they're left without any education, any resources. And so we started a vocational training program where the girls are able to get a vocational training. We have a full daycare where the children can come while they're training, and then they're in internships. They'll take their final exams and be able to have a career where they can take care of themselves and their children. This program is only a year old. We just started, but we're already ready to start a program in France, the exact same program, Journey to Destiny in France, Journey to Destiny in Puerto Rico. We have about 12 countries in total that is signed up to have journey centers. And so we are so excited. One, that we want to eradicate abuse all over the world for young girls. And two, because God has given us the opportunity to go from country to country, and he sets the work up. We just go and he sets it up. He opens doors for us. And even in France, we haven't even got there yet. And I got an email today where someone is looking for a building for us there. So we won't get there until 2024, and God is already working for us. So I'm super excited just to get this exposure because we do great work. We just need people to know what we're doing so that we can get the help and the resources that we need to continue this work.
Wow. you said a mouthful, and it, it,
I
it,
said a lot.
it is amazing, the work that you all have been doing. And since you and I have had the time to connect, and I've been hearing little inklets about it. And as you mentioned, God mentioned to you, it was one of those things that after talking to Vivian Pruitt about it, it was like a big hit for me earlier, I believe last year. And I was like, okay, well, you'll get to it eventually. You'll catch a hold of the call and you'll get to it eventually. And I'll never forget, Mother Imelda Jones came and spoke with us last year for our November timeframe for our revival in November. And we ended up taking her photos to help her with building website and so forth on her end. And she started praying over the studio. Before the studio was even named the studio, she started praying over the studio and us accepting the call that God had given and moving forward in it. And so for me, it was for it to all just kind of line up. And it's like, oh, well, we really need to get more sponsors. We really need to get more people on the wagon, but we don't have these things. And so your skills are more focused to the girls and working with them and doing the mission that God has called. And then ours is, okay, well, we have the skills for social media and the filming and so forth. And so for those of you that don't know, part of the Dream Again project is so that we can bring that coverage, that social media aspect, that footprint that Journey to Destiny ministry needs to get out to the people, to get out to the masses. They have a presence, but as many of you know, when it comes to getting on people's radar and really getting the funds in, it takes a lot of things. And just the day-to-day takes a lot of funds. And so as part of this, that Dream Again project is funding the opportunity for the Amped Up Studios to go down to the Dominican Republic site and really film and capture the stories so that you all can hear those stories that are being missed. If I didn't sit and talk to the team from Journey to Destiny Ministries, I would not know the level of the stories that are going on, the experiences that some of these girls are having, and even just hearing the need that is needed for them to move forward. Like you all know, Puerto Rico was just hit with a big hurricane, not more than a few days ago. And there is space for the beginning of the Journey Center there. But of course, they have to have the funding that is needed for that. And so you all wouldn't know that unless we told you here. And so this is one of the avenues of getting that information out. And you all hearing this opportunity of Felicia Foster and I having this conversation so that you all can get involved. So we do have a question for Ms. Foster. J3, if you want to share that question, please.
Yes. So Ms. Foster, we have a question in the chat, and this person wants to know, what is the local government doing about this right now for the girls in the DR?
Okay, so the issue with human trafficking and abusive situation for girls is the same across the globe. It's the same as it is in America. It kind of gets swept under the rug because it's such an ugly monster that nobody wants to deal with it. So in Dominican, when we got there, even now, prostitution is illegal in Dominican, but it happens every day, all day long. Young girls, if you go to the beach, you see a lot of European men that just kind of wanders the beach looking for girls, and the girls are made available to them. So the government knows that it's happening, but it's not a big thing for them to look after. They're looking for, kind of like America, but they're looking for drug cases and things like that. And the lives of these girls are not top priority for them. Like I said, the city that we're living in, I came in 2016, and before I came, there was not a center for girls at all. And now, since we've started, there now have been 2 other centers added there. But before that, it was the closest place that they could go for to be rescued was in Santiago, which is an hour to 4 or 5 hours away from our city. So we've been working tirelessly to get the government to even give us resources to help. And so they've asked us to do a lot of different things. We've done those things that they asked for, and we're just waiting now for them to give us resources. So every country that we go into, we work with the government. We don't come in and just take over and say, we're going to do whatever. All of the girls that we get are vetted by the Department of Children's Services to come to us. So we don't go out to the street and find girls to come in. Even here in Kenya, we vet those girls through the government. And so the problem is huge in Dominican, as it is in America. It's a big problem here as well. And so the government, it's our job to be ambassadors for these girls, to make the government see that this is a priority and that this is something that needs to be dealt with on a higher level. And so that's what our job is. That's what we're faced with, telling the government, this is what is happening, this is what is needed. And so it's not a top priority right now, but that is our job, to be ambassadors for these girls. I hope that answered their question.
Awesome. No, thank you for that answer. So then what does Journey to Destiny Ministries do in Dominican Republic currently?
So in Dominican, we house the girls. Like I said, the girls are vetted through the Department of Children's Services. And once they are rescued, they go through the police department, and then they go to Department of Children's Services. They call us and tell us what the case is with the girl, because we do have criteria. We don't take girls that are homicidal, because we want to keep the girls in our center safe as well. So it's certain criteria of girls that we can't accept into our center. So we would do an initial interview. We have a licensed psychologist, a licensed child psychologist that works on our team in Dominican. She will interview the girls if they meet the criteria to make sure that we're safe as well as they're safe. Then they're entered into the center. They stay with us. Our center is a temporary center. We get the girls out of immediate danger. So most of our girls come from the hospital. They come from jail. They come from court. A lot of them are still under police custody. And so when the girls first come, they have nothing. So we keep our sponsors always sends us clothes and underwear and toothpastes and toothbrushes, because the girls come with absolutely nothing. Mm-hmm. So we provide them with just the basic necessities of living when they first get there. We also provide them with group therapy, individual counseling with our licensed psychologist. We do education assistance. So the girls that are with us permanently, we have sponsors that allow them to be able to go back to school. And I'm talking about the Dominican, and the Dominican ladies are going to be sharing that in just a minute. But we do provide education assistance for the ones that are permanent. The ones that are temporary, we also provide counseling for them as well. So the center is really a safe place. We do not call it an orphanage. We do not call it any other institutional place. When the girls come, we want them to know that they're in a loving, nurturing, caring home. And so when the girls come, they have their own beds. We make sure that they have their own set of clothes and things like that, so that most of the time the girls have not been taken care of. Mm-hmm. And we want them to feel safe and secure. When the girls come in, probably about the first day, they're terrified because they don't know who we are, if we're going to help them. And by day 3, you absolutely see the light turn on, where they realize this is a safe place. These people care about us. They love the kids that are here. And that's what we want. We don't want an orphanage. We don't want an organization. We want a safe place for them to recuperate, to regain their confidence after going through such tragedy.
Okay. So we have another question on the table.
Okay.
What is the average cost to operate a typical center for 1 year?
It depends on the location. Dominican, it takes about anywhere from $2,500 to $2,800 a month. And that is with the operating budget. That's with the salaries. In Kenya, it's about 3,200 a month because the cost of living is a little higher. But now, since after COVID and after the oil hike and all of that, everything has gone up. So you're looking at roughly about nearly 3,000 for Dominican and right at nearly 3,500 for Kenya. Now, when we go to France next year, it's going to be a lot different because it's not the Caribbean, it's not Africa, it's actually Europe. And they have euros, which is the cost of euros are a lot higher. The cost of living is higher. So we're still doing the initial planning stages for Europe to see what that cost would be.
Okay.
But it all depends on the community that you're in or the country that you're in.
Okay. And you mentioned Puerto Rico as well. Do you know the current cost for that center or what that might cost for that one?
Yes, we're working on Puerto Rico now. Puerto Rico is a little different from everywhere else we've started because they already have a building.
Okay.
They already have dormitories. They already have where last year it cost about $40,000 last year for me to start the center and startup costs. And that was in addition to the operating budget. Where in Puerto Rico, we won't have that startup cost because they already have, the government actually has given them a building already. It was a school before. So they've turned the classrooms into living quarters. So they have showers, they have kitchens, everything. So we won't have that huge startup cost. So again, Puerto Rico is relatively like Europe because it's America. Even though it's in the Caribbean, it's still considered a third world country. It's still ran by US dollars. So the cost of living is higher. The cost of employee insurance and all of that, which we pay insurance for our employees in Dominican and here in Kenya. And so that is going to be a lot higher. So you're talking about maybe we did the initial numbers for Puerto Rico and it was around 4,500 a month. And that was just for salaries and operating costs.
Okay. And then the last one, there was what resources are you waiting for from the government?
So in Dominican, they call the centers foundations. And so the foundations that are equal or equivalent to what we do, they get resources from the government, like they pay the salaries of the employees. They give a food budget. We've been there since 2016. In the country and actually operating since 2017. And we've never got a dime from the government. We pay all of our employee salaries. We pay all of the insurance, food, the insurance for the vehicles, everything is fundraised. We raise the funds, Vivian, April, and myself. We raise the funds for both countries right now, and we'll be adding a new missionary in January of next year to begin to raise funds for here. But all of that has been fundraised. And so we're waiting on the government to give us assistance like they've promised us. And so we're just waiting. They're telling us now that it'll be the next fiscal year, which will start in January. So we're hoping, because in any organization, your biggest budget is going to be the salaries and the food. And so if they do either one of those for us, it will really give us a breather. We'll be able to breathe a little bit more and be able to have a little more savings and for emergencies like what just happened in Puerto Rico. We're now trying to get food, water, and things like that, just regular items that they need. They didn't have electricity for many days. A lot of the people are flooded out because they were just getting over the big hurricane that happened a couple of years ago. And so now they're trying to get back on their feet. So those emergency cases, if we had the government paying a big portion of our salaries, we could use our fundraising dollars for emergencies like that, like Puerto Rico.
Okay, no, thank you for that. Those are the questions that we had so far. So we're going to pause here to show this world premiere video, and then we're going to bring all three of you back after the video. for those of you that are watching out in the world, we ask that you all leave your comments on what you think of the video, of what we're working towards now. This is just a taste of what is ahead with the Journey to Destiny ministry. And so I'm going to share my screen real quick. All right, and for those of you that are there, can you just give me if you can see it, a quick thumbs up if y'all can see it. Cool. All right, so here we go.
Each year, an estimated 700,000 people are trafficked or in abusive home situations. And 71% of the victims are women and girls. Roughly 7,000 people are rescued. For others, help may never come. Journey to Destiny Ministries is changing the statistics, operating journey centers in countries around the world, providing safe and secure living opportunities, educational assistance, and vocational training. Join the movement, help them dream again, and change the world one life at a time.
All right, so that was just a little taste.
If you've got the Airbnb app on your,
that was just a little taste of what Amped Up Studios hopes to do and hopes to accomplish with the assets and things that we're going to create. So being on site will give us the opportunity to really dive into the content, to really tell the stories of some of the girls that are there, to really share what the Journey Center looks like, what they're moving towards, and really kind of build out that visual history that so many people are used to and looking for these days. As you all know, attention spans are short. So making sure that we get out there and we get involved and making sure that we get the right stuff to really produce what you all want to see, one, but also gets the information out so that you all get that heart attachment to the people that are being affected by human trafficking, abusive situations, and all that. And so at this time, I would ask that all the Journey to Destiny Missions team, ministries team, come up with us. We have founder Felicia Foster, Vivian Pruitt, and April Agnew, our DR team. Everybody, good evening, everyone. So I hope you all are excited. So let's dive right in. Ladies, what are your, I would say, what is one of your fondest memories so far in your work with the Journey to Destiny Ministries and DR?
All right, I guess I'll start first. I have been working with the Journey Center now for about 5-6 years. And the first time I went, I just connected immediately with the ministry, with the mission, with the girls. I always say they just kind of climbed into my heart and I couldn't get away. So even when I came back home, I kept thinking about them. So when the opportunity presented itself, I was more than honored to become a part of the ministry team in the Dominican Republic. But one of my fondest memories, which was the question, was there's so many, but what really touches me every time I go and every time I'm there, what really, really touches me is, I know the girls' stories because I know them all personally. I have connected with them all personally. And just to see them act like, kids, when I see them laugh, I see them play, and I see them, want to play board games and just simple little things, getting their hair done, simple little things that just bring them so much laughter, so much joy. That just like melts my heart, because I know that they have come from some very, very abusive, very, very brutal situations. So it's amazing how the human mind can kind of separate those things when you know that they had these terrible, terrible experiences, but at the same time, they just want to be little girls who want to play. So that always touches me when I go. April.
Well, I have so many fond memories. I, like Evangelist Pruitt, have worked with the Journey Center for several years now. And one thing that I was always afraid of was the language barrier, because I am not fluent in Spanish. I was always afraid that that would hinder me from connecting with the girls and really being a help the way I desired to be a help there. But last year on one of my mission trips, well, actually it was this year, earlier this year on my mission trip, I had to go by myself for the first time on a solo mission there. And while I was teaching, although Evangelist Foster was in the country, she was not available to help me teach. And I did not have an interpreter. And the girls were so patient with me. It was just awe-inspiring the way they embraced me. And as I celebrated them for their patience and love and for having so much compassion as I taught and tried to teach in Spanish, they decided at the end to celebrate me. And it was so overwhelming to see how humble they were and how they celebrated someone else, even though I was there to serve them. They turned around and served me in a way that I could never repay them. And so that's one of my fondest memories of my experience in the DR, is just how those girls are so bright and so loving, and how they really want to make you feel like you're a part of their family.
No, I like the sound of that. I am excited to be able to meet some of them. Once we get all of this funded, I am excited to just be able to sit with them. And I am no pro at Spanish myself either. So the pieces I do know, we gonna just make it happen. So then, how would you say you're qualified based off of what you do in life? Like, how would you say you're qualified to be a part of the Dominican Republic team?
So there's a popular saying that God qualifies those he called. And that is how I'm qualified. God has called me to this work. He chose me out on a mission trip in 2015. Evangelist Foster and I had just met in Ghana, West Africa. And she asked me, where was I going next? And I told her, I want to go to the Dominican next year. I felt it was random, but it was all God. I had no idea that he had already appointed her to this work. And she said, I'm going to the Dominican in November. You should come with me. And that November 2015, I joined her in the Dominican Republic. Never could have imagined that I would be doing what I'm doing now. God qualifies those whom he has called. And so I believe that is how I'm qualified to do this work, because I've been appointed, because it is my due season. I am able to do the work that he's created me to do without any hindrances. To God be the glory.
Amen to that. I like that.
All right. And for my end, I had always been wanting to do something in my home country. I had been looking and looking and looking, and thank God I had the opportunity to talk to Bishop Matthews one day. And I said, Bishop Matthews, is anybody doing anything in my country, some kind of ministry? And he said, say no more, Felicia Foster, here's her number. So immediately I called her, we connected, and I got a chance to go over there. And I was trying to figure out, okay, I don't know exactly what I'm going to do there. How do I fit? What do I do? The only skill that I felt I had was like, well, I know the language and I'm from there originally. So I was able to help translate all the documents and different things. And then again, the girls, you know what? I always thought I wanted sons, and the Lord gave me some beautiful daughters, and it seems like he just keeps adding daughters to me. So it's a God thing, let me tell you. And now I thank God for all the daughters, spiritual daughters and natural daughters that he has given me. So I feel like all of them down there are my daughters.
So this question is open to all of you. What would you say has been one of your more challenging experiences in this work? Because let's be honest, there's going to be some difficulties, right? There are going to be challenges, whether it's getting to know a new girl and introducing her to the family. There's going to be challenges from the lack of government help, funding. There's just going to be even challenges from our regular lives to, hey, how does this translate to the mission work that I'm called to do? So any of you can start, but what have been some of your challenges?
I'll start.
Oh, go ahead.
I think biggest challenges, it's not a lack of love, a lack of resources or whatnot, but sometimes the finances do become a thing, because sometimes we want to do more, and finances are hindrances, because we only have but so many friends, and we tap out our friends, we tap out all our friends all the time, especially when a need arises. And I remember during one of the board meetings, I told the ladies, I feel like, you remember the lady the widow with Elijah, where there's a meal barrel, and every time you reach in, the Lord just provides the need. And that's how I've been living. But I said, I want to live in abundance. So that would be the challenge. So finances to me, I think that can be a challenge, because there's so many other things that we want to do, but it does take money. And with inflation, is not just hitting here, it's global. So it's hitting all our centers everywhere we're trying to open, and all the places where we are open. The finance, the expense and the costs have doubled, and they just keep going up. So that's mine.
Okay. Felicia?
I think for me, my biggest challenge was when I left America and I moved to Dominican. I left, as April said, because I knew God had called me to the work, but I left for lack of a better word, I left in a bubble. I just kind of figured I was going to get there because I had done so many mission trips that God was just going to show me everything I needed to do. This is going to be beautiful. But I was in Dominican for 9 months. I tell everybody I was deaf and dumb because I did not speak Spanish. And in that very rural area, nobody really spoke English. So I couldn't even say, can I have some water? How much change is this? Where do I catch the bus? I was in silence. No matter how loud I spoke, they didn't hear me. No matter how slow they spoke, I didn't understand. So I was deaf and dumb for 9 months. And I remember just saying, God, I was in solitude. I would go to church every Sunday and I didn't understand anything they were saying. And I was like, God, if you would just help me, because this is probably the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. And he began to literally supernaturally unstop my ears. So I went to language school for like a month. I didn't learn anything. And so I left my apartment. I gave up my apartment and I moved into the center with the girls so that I could be in close contact with them and began to learn the work. And while I was learning the work, God supernaturally opened my ears, opened my understanding, loosed my tongue so that I could speak Spanish, even though I'm Southern. So you guys can hear now that I have a super Southern accent. And so with my Southern accent, I was able to speak Spanish, understand it, and God did that. And for people that are listening now, if God has given you something to do, Andre asked us, I guess one of the questions was, how do you know that you're qualified? A lot of times we're not qualified, but God qualifies us through our faith. And once we believe in God and we believe that he has called us to a work, he qualifies us in the midst of it. And that is what happened to me. I didn't speak the language. I didn't know the language. And God allowed me to be able to communicate with the girls now, communicate with the work. And Vivian I'm just going to take a little bit right here, but Vivian came and she's a native Dominican. So she came, she was very shy, she was very timid, she was nothing like she is now when she first came, but she was such a blessing to the work because we were buying that building, $102,000 building that Vivian helped us translate all the documents for. And then April, the same way. April was very shy. She was always had a zeal for God, but she was very shy. She was nervous. She didn't want to eat anything. And now these women are so bold and so strong. They go to the country without me now. They do everything for the center. And so I think our challenges has made us stronger to be able to do the work that God has called us to do.
Okay. April.
Amazing. I enjoyed both of those ladies. I was super excited. They really encompass the challenges that we face. But for me, one of the biggest challenges is when we have to release a girl back into society or back to a safe family member. It can be very difficult once you've established a relationship with that young lady to, you know, trust God to do what he promises us he will do. And so recently, in fact, on the last mission trip to the Dominican earlier this year, I learned that we can truly trust God with these girls. You know, we do our part, but the work, the finished and complete work is in Christ, and we have to trust him to do that. So it's been a challenge for me, but I'm learning to release them into God's care. I'm there as an advocate for his kingdom to do his work with those girls. But once I do my part, I have to trust him to do his part. And so it can be challenging and difficult, but I am learning to release that into his hands.
No, I like that. That is the realness of it, right? That it requires God to step in and qualify it, to give that knowledge that is needed, that wisdom that we might be lacking. And that hunger is already there, but it requires God to be in there and him getting the glory out of it. He opens up those doors. He makes those ways. And so, no, I definitely like that. So for all of you watching, for all of those that on each different platform, the goal here is so that you all hear what kind of the plight is, right? As Amped Up Studios endeavors to fund our GoFundMe, our goal is to get there so you all can hear and see these things firsthand. We don't want this to be the only time you hear of Journey to Destiny Ministries. Our goal is to hit every location that they've mentioned tonight. Our goal is to hit each and every one, because all of those locations have different stories, different challenges, different people that are experiencing very similar, if you will, on one front, from the banner of human trafficking or abusive situations or, you know, forced marriages, but they all have individual stories that make it important, that tie to each and every one of us. And let's be honest, we wouldn't want our family members caught in anything. And let's use Vivian, she's a native Dominican. So if you put yourself in her shoes or potentially a family member's shoes, they could find themselves in a similar situation. And let's be honest, let's not be blind to the plight that's going on in the US as well. This is a pandemic that is happening all day, every day, whether you believe it or not. As mentioned, it's swept under the rug, but we can't forget about it. And we want to bring light to that. And so we ask you all that you take your time, and we're going to make available the GoFundMe on all of the different platforms so that you all can spend time investing in changing the outcome, changing these lives. And you have the opportunity to do it two ways. You have the GoFundMe that will help Amped Up Studios get out to the Dominican Republic to cover these stories. But there is going to be also another opportunity, because there are centers that are currently operating in Dominican Republic and Kenya. You've heard Puerto Rico is coming online. And if I remember correctly from our conversation, the operating budget is what is needed to get that one open and running. You heard Felicia say, hey, the government has said, hey, you all have this building, but that operating cost, those costs that we know as Americans that hit us every single day, we want our paycheck. The people working there want a paycheck as well. The girls need the help. And there is so much growth opportunity here with Journey to Destiny Ministries, but we truly need your help. we want you all to be involved. We want you all to take that first step. As the guys make the GoFundMe available to you all, if you want to find it for yourself, go to GoFundMe and look up the Dream Again project. Is for our filming. We are trying to raise $15,000 to go there to cover our training, our traveling cost, and make sure that we are able to spend the time needed to really hear the stories, to really see the, help me again, Vivian, with the Batea.
Bates.
Okay, Bates. I'm gonna get it. I promise you, before I get there, I'm gonna get it.
You'll get it.
And so those areas where some of these girls are found living in, that are having to be rescued from, and they're not just in the Dominican Republic. So we truly need your help in fully funding this. And as we promised, as you will see, there is a video that's connected to the GoFundMe. The promises from the Amped Up Studios team that if you help us get the funding, we are going to give all of the assets. We're going to build a resource repository for Journey to Destiny Ministries. That means they're going to have photos, they're going to have videos. We're going to create graphics and opportunities to share graphics. We're going to give them some social media management pieces to enhance their already social media platform. That is what we're going to take on from Amped Up Studios, but we need your help. We can't do it alone. And as you can imagine, we all work jobs. And so we're going to have to take some time away to get down there and really focus on just being able to create and grab the information, hearing the stories. And we want you to be a part of that. So as we fund this, as we get to the final funding of this, because we're going to do it. I know God, and I know that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. And because of that, and he knows we're doing this work, that he is going to make sure that it happens. One of our final promises to Journey to Destiny Ministries and to all of you, and you all will be witnesses of it, is that anything raised over the goal, we are going to write a check and give it to Journey to Destiny Ministries. So everything that we are doing as Amped Up Studios, we want to be able to bless and do it pro bono for them. And so we want to make sure that in this kind of wrap up moment that you all know that this is what our drive is for. This is what our desire is. Amped Up Studios, as we continue to grow, we want to make sure that Journey to Destiny Ministries is positioned such that you all can't turn on the TV, you can't go on social media without seeing some of their girls' pictures, without feeling that pull to help sponsor them. Now, Journey to Destiny Ministries has their own site, their own website, that if you want to get involved now and you say, hey, we just want to be able to sponsor one of the girls currently where they are, Journey to Destiny Ministries has their own website, and I believe it's journeytodestinyministries.org. And you all can go there and it will tell you how you can start giving right now. So outside of the GoFundMe, you have an opportunity to start sponsoring a girl even now and really help the situation change. So as you all can see, we are 4 minutes left in this broadcast, but we want to make sure that first off, we tell everyone from Journey to Destiny, thank you so much, Felicia, Vivian, April, for joining the Amped Up Studios team as we're out here. Is there any final thoughts that you all might want to share that might encourage someone to give?
First of all, I just want to thank you all for the work that you're doing and the initiative that you're doing. A lot of times people say, oh, God bless you, but they don't do any action behind that. So God doesn't come down and walk on the earth anymore. He puts that in the hearts and the minds of people that are here. So I thank you for that. And as you said, Journey to Destiny Ministry, we do have a website. We are on Facebook as well. And our biggest thing now is that we need sponsors for girls. That's how we get our operating budget, is by sponsorship. And so you're welcome to sponsor a girl in Kenya or Dominican or any other countries that we're starting up soon. So thank you, Andre and the team for your work that you're doing for these girls and for the girls that will help in the future. So thank you so much. We are indebted to you and your organization. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. And look, you all know me. I am always out talking, and I spend a lot of time on Instagram and all these other social media platforms that you all tend to follow. Of course, the Amped Up Studios team is out there as well. And we just want to encourage you all to take a second, take a moment. It doesn't take long. And look, let's be honest. If we got 15,000 people to just give us $1, we would more than meet our goal. People have already started donating, and we thank you all for we thank all those that have donated already. We have some conversations with sponsorships around the corner that are coming. We are excited about those, but our goal is to blow this goal out of the water easily. And as people continue to speak into our life and help and step into the gap for us, we're going to ask that you all do the same. So if you are out there, click on that link for the GoFundMe and go donate now so that we can, one, be able to do what we are set out here to do. We want to change the world one life at a time. And you know how we are at Amped Up and Amped Up Studios and everywhere that Amped is, you know, we love you, right? God loves you even more. And until next time, be inspired, be edified, be encouraged. Put God first in all that you do, love unconditionally, do what you love, and always live an amp life. Do all that you can, stay amped up, and we'll catch you all next time. We're going to leave you all with this final view of that video that we've already shown you. We're going to show it one last time, and as we continue to go off the air. Thank you all again for tuning in. We appreciate your support, and we look forward to growing together with you. And share.
Each year, an estimated 700,000 people are trafficked or in abusive home situations. And 71% of the victims are women and girls. Roughly 7,000 people are rescued. For others, help may never come. Journey to Destiny Ministries is changing the statistics, operating journey centers in countries around the world, providing safe and secure living opportunities, educational assistance, and vocational training. Join the movement, help them dream again, and change the world one life at a time.
Thank you again, everyone, and good night.